Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible political U-turns you will ever see. It's a story that really gets to the heart of just how fragile peace is in Ethiopia right now. And it all centers on one man, Getachew Reda, who went from being a wartime leader to an advisor for the very government he was fighting.
Okay, just look at this slide. This right here is the whole paradox in a nutshell. Not that long ago, Getachew Reda, speaking for the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, the TPLF, accused Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of perfecting genocide. I mean, the worst crime imaginable. And now he works for him as a senior advisor.
So you've got to be asking, right, how on earth is this possible? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We're going to use this shocking alliance to try and understand Ethiopia's incredibly shaky present and its even more uncertain future. To really get your head around this turnaround, first we have to go back. We have to understand the sheer bitterness of the war and the incredible weight of the accusations that were being thrown around. During the fighting, Reda was not mincing words. At all. He wasn't talking about war crimes or mistakes. He was straight up, on the record, accusing the Prime Minister of leading a genocidal campaign against the people of Tigray. These are the heaviest words you can possibly use. But fast forward to today. Now that he's inside the government, his rhetoric does a complete 180. When he was recently pushed on those exact same statements from the past, a whole new, much more careful story started to emerge. And listen to the shift here, because it is subtle, but it's absolutely crucial. He still says, I believe genocide has been committed. But notice what's missing. He no longer points the finger directly and solely at Abiy Ahmed. Instead, it's this much broader, much vaguer phrase, there were so many actors involved. That is a massive change. And this pivot, this change in language, it also applies to what his own side was accused of. Back then, reports of massacres by his TPLF forces, he dismissed them as a total fantasy, a figment of someone's imagination. But now he gives this very guarded admission, saying there were cases here and there where civilians were targeted. It's a long way from never happened. So the huge question is why? How do you justify joining the government of the man you called the architect of their suffering? Well, Reda presents this move not as some kind of betrayal, but as a cold, hard, pragmatic necessity. He basically breaks his reasoning down into three core arguments. Number one, to make absolutely sure the devastating war was over for good. Number two, and this is really interesting, to stop his own former party, the TPLF, from holding on to what he now calls its totalitarian control. And number three, to try and atone for his own leadership's massive failures. And he's surprisingly blunt about that last point. He says that as a leader, we have failed them miserably, and that it's a failure he'll carry to his grave. So in his telling, he's positioning this new job as an attempt to make things right, to fix the catastrophic miscalculations he now admits to. Okay, so that's his personal reason. But has this pragmatic alliance actually worked for the victims? Has it delivered a better future? To answer that, we've got to look at the big peace deal from 2022, the Pretoria Agreement, which he helped create. It was designed to stop the fighting, sure, but also to create a path toward justice. And this table just lays bare the disconnect between promise and reality. The deal promised justice for victims. On the ground, a journalist's simple answer? The answer is no. It promised accountability for atrocities. A top professor says there is no evidence whatsoever. It promised that displaced people could go home. The reality? Huge areas of Western Tigray are still occupied. The promises just haven't materialized.
And a huge reason for that lack of justice? Well, the very government that Reda now advises actively lobbied to shut down the international investigations by both the African Union and the United Nations. They were successful. Those commissions were closed.
And this is where the irony is just incredible. Reda now says, as his personal view, that there needs to be an international component to find justice. He is literally calling for the exact same kind of international involvement that his own government successfully killed.
And as if all that wasn't complicated enough, while the wounds from the last war are still wide open, a new conflict is threatening to blow up, this time with neighboring Eritrea. You can just feel the tension ratcheting up. Prime Minister Abiy has started calling his country's landlocked status a historic error. He's vowing that Ethiopia will not remain landlocked. And it's not just talk. The military says it won't, quote, hesitate to make any sacrifice for sea access. And at the same time, we're seeing reports that tanks are on the move toward the border.
So is war about to happen? You get two completely different answers. From the government insider Getachew Reda, there's optimism. He says, I don't expect that to lead to war. But from the regional expert, Professor Tronville, you get a chillingly different take. I think the war is coming, and it's coming pretty soon. And this isn't just a gut feeling from the professor. He's pointing to official documents, communications from Ethiopia to the UN, that are building a case against Eritrea. He warns that Ethiopia is methodically ticking off every box you need to claim a right to self-defense, which, as we know, is a classic legal step you take right before launching a military operation. So it all leaves us with this one giant, critical question for Ethiopia's future. Is it even possible to build a lasting peace when the sins of the past haven't been dealt with, when there's been no accountability, and when the drums of a new war are beating louder and louder? Can this incredibly fragile foundation possibly hold?